close to your circle. I know a
Okay.
couple of the same people that you know, and
Okay.
so I want to know, like, is there a like, what's the specific, what are the qualifications for you to purchase a property? Like, what's your process?
Okay. And who's speaking?
My name is Jose Luis, bro. I know all your guys like Aldo, Edgar.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. All right. Cool.
yeah,
Okay. I'm just trying to put the face on. I can't see who's on there.
yeah. I'd show you,
Okay.
man, but I do my hair today, you know.
No, no, you're fine. I just didn't know. Okay, so perfect. So you're asking the question is like what the process of what we look for?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah. So basically it's number one, it's gonna be like in the city of LA. So city of LA, a lot of people are like, well, LA's really big. And sometimes they're saying like, well, we have LA County and then you have LA City. So LA City is gonna be anything that's gonna be like on the ZMS website is going to be an LA City deal. And what we're really specializing in right now, and what is honestly capitalize on in right now, and that's also too how I built my like one leg of my real estate business was doing the same thing, like looking for land, and then after a period of time we started personally developing as well. So basically, it's like you want to make sure it's a city deal, which is going to be on that website, which is a ZMIS, and then through there you can see, you punch in the address, and then from there you'll be able to like get an idea of what comes up. And normally the zoning that we look for is LARD 1.5, R3, R4, and C2 zoning. That makes sense, Luis? Jose Luis?
Absolutely, brother.
Okay. Okay.
I appreciate.
What else? So, and then also too, I mean, we
You
look
said
for
that was
we look for single. Go ahead.
you said that was LA City
Yeah. So that's Ivan. So that's
area.
basically like, yeah, LA City is what I personally look for. And like
Yeah.
that's how that's how I built my business that we have right now is what was doing these double duplexes and then doing the ADUs is mostly majority of the business. And then also too, it's a single family as well. Like we make sure that they're single family. Like, does anyone like understand why single family?
I believe it's because you're trying to do a tear down, right? And capitalize
Yes.
on it or
Yes.
expand more
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. Well, number one is that like we're gonna tear it down, and then what we have experienced from time to time is that like it's very hard to get tenants out. So it's a lot easier to get a homeowner out than to get a tenant out. So that's why normally like we like to especially like to get a single family house. So at the end of escrow we can get them out versus like a duplex or a triplex or stuff like that. Yeah. So what other questions we have?
So I got a question for you.
Okay.
So at the beginning, I mean, like right now, obviously, most of us are probably looking at investments and all that. I think, but for me, my next step is to build something ground up. It's that checklist of making sure, obviously, from the dirt to the zoning to the soil checks to all that. Is there like a certain process you follow, man? Like a checklist type thing? I've done additions and stuff like that, but a brand new build is a completely different monster.
In my experience, Ivan, is what I would actually start off with maybe doing like an ADU or two ADUs. So in back, like right now, I have a duplex, and then behind the duplex we have I'm doing two ADUs. And the thing is, like, you really want to get some like skin in the game, because if you're gonna start off like on a 4-unit project, like it's gonna, the first few of them, honestly, like we lost a lot of money, like a lot of money. So from if I can go back, if you're like, hey, what would I do differently? When I first started, is that number one, I probably would start smaller and be more conservative and get that like ground up experience, because like we don't know what we don't know. So when you're in the mix of stuff, like stuff comes up, gas meters, water meters, I mean, like you name it, like the soil, like there's so much stuff that comes up that like you really don't know till you're sort of in the mix of it. And then second too, like you're like, well, you know what, maybe I want to do something bigger, or maybe I'll do the ADUs, like maybe also to partner up with somebody that has experience. And that's sort of
Yeah.
like the hard thing is that a lot of us don't want to do, because sometimes it's honestly greed, or ego, that I want to do it myself, or greed, or to say I'll just figure it out. But like a lot of the time, like it just makes more sense to partner up with somebody that has a lot of experience, or at least more experience than you, because they're going to fasten up the learning curve. And
Gotcha.
we didn't do that. And if I look back, I'm like, man, that's something that's definitely that I would have wanted to do for sure.
Gotcha. So on the ADUs, obviously we're looking at specific square footage on the lot, right?
Yeah, and mostly
So
every house, like in LA, like as long as it has a good, nice backyard, like you can do an ADU. Every single house, if not, you can do a junior ADU. So
gotcha.
like, yeah. But like if you really want to get like like if you do like a duplex and you have the right zoning, like I was able to put two of them, and which was like a long shot, but we were able to put two units back there. So like 2 units became 4 units.
Nice.
Also too, I mean, you want to make sure that same thing if we were doing a regular loan, like you have to make sure your credit's good. They're going to want to look at bank statements. And then the number one thing that like most of us didn't have, or we don't have, is the actual experience. Because they're going to tell you like, hey, let me see your ground up experience in the last 3 years.
So get an accredited investor, or somebody that's done it.
Exactly. Well, they want to know, like at the end of the day, they want to know that you know what you're doing, because they're lending you money and they want to see you succeed. And like at the end of the day, like they don't want to go back and take the property from you.
Got it.
What other questions? What other questions we have?
Hey, Danny, this is James Kerr. I have a question.
Hey, James.
Hey, alrighty. So I know we talked in the past. I'm actually over here in the Inland Empire. I would love to someday make my way towards LA. I had some interest, and I'm not in the position to start purchasing property, things like that, but I was wondering about potentially helping you find deals, wholesaling, things of that nature. I know you're always looking for agents to send you stuff. Wanted to see if you had some type of a blueprint or something that we could look at as to ways we can go look for deals, or we just need to look at properties and zonings that you're looking for, and maybe some things you could give to us to help us, maybe sell ourselves or sell you, and just to help us, land a deal. Is there anything like you're doing like for that, or any meetings you're hosting, a group meetings, anything of that nature?
Yeah, what I can definitely do, maybe do like a follow-up call as well, and then I can send you like a breakdown of what we look for. But number one, like you want to do exactly what you're doing right now, is like asking, because that's going to be the fastest way to find a deal, is like to see what everyone's buying. But definitely I can definitely do that, James. That would probably take a little longer. Depending on the questions, I'll if not I answer it. I wrote it down though right here as well, and I can send an email out.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, just it has some interest in that area, so hopefully we could hear some more about that. Appreciate you.
Okay. Okay. Mauricio, you have a question?
Yeah, hi, this is Mauricio. So how do you kind of back into what you pay for a property? I guess it's kind of a multi-layered question, is right. You must first I imagine you must identify what you can build there. How much is the cost per square foot you're using to estimate that right now? Like you're all in, including hard and soft costs. What's kind of financing are you budgeting for that? Like what are the LTVs? What are the rates? What are the terms? Interest only? For how long? And then ultimately, how do you wrap that up to decide what you pay for a property?
Okay, got it. So the question is like, basically is how do you determine the value of a purchase, right? At the end of the day, and then
yeah,
like the value. Okay, so how do you determine the purchase price, the construction cost, and is that pretty much what you're asking?
Yeah,
Mauricio?
so let me rephrase it, right? I guess it's multi-layered, right? I imagine you buy the property on like a residual land value, right? If they're not selling it for market value, if you got to pay a little bit above market, how do you kind of estimate what's the highest amount you could pay for the property?
Got it. Okay. So basically he wants to know like, you know, how do you determine the purchase price? How do you determine the construction cost? So it's just like our life, you know, like I always look at it that way. Like you're going to reverse engineer it. So like, for example, like if we have goals and we're doing 12, 14 months, 2 years, 3 years out, we're making our, if we want to hit a goal like in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? Like it's very similar to that. Like we're going to work backwards and we're going to reverse engineer it. So, and that's the same process as if we were, when we're doing construction. So basically like like what I did, let me just go back to what I used to do. So when I was trying to understand a purchase price, and this is going to honestly, like you can make an extra 10, 20, 40, $100,000 by learning this process, because you're going to be able to go to your investor and you're going to be able to tell your investor that that basically, hey, I have this deal, and then they're going to want to know, obviously know the price. So basically is what I always did is that like I studied the market. So what I would do is that like I would, if I had this property, let's just say I spoke to a seller right today. I spoke to a seller and they're like, hey, well, we want to sell. You know, I got motivation from them, right? I figured out, you know, why they want to sell, you know, if they sell, where they're going to move to next, and what's the time frame of them wanting to sell, right? I pre-qualified the seller, right? And then they're like, well, what price do you want? They're like, well, we don't know. You know, well, basically, what did your client want to pay? You reached out to us. We didn't call you. So if you're interested, make us an offer. Does that seem about how things work out, Mauricio?
Yeah.
Yep, perfect. Okay. So from there, right, then I'm gonna like reverse engineer it. So by that, I'm gonna look at like, okay, what can we put on the property, right? And so I'm gonna dumb it down for us, because not all of us understand. Like, so when you don't know what to put on the property, like you have to speak to an architect, or what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to look at new construction in that zip code, in that area, within a half-mile radius, within a mile radius, and you're going to want to look at all the new construction. And then from there, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to see the zoning on that new construction. And if that zoning matches the zoning of the property that you found, and the lot size is very similar, then you kind of know like, okay, I think we got something here, right? And then the fastest, quickest way is an architect, but sometimes it's really tough because an architect is hard to get a hold of and they're really busy and they take forever to get back to you. So that's why you have to take it on, you know, for yourself to really like learn the zoning, learn what to do. And then once you figure out that, like once all that matches, the zoning matches, the lot sizes matches, and it's all in that same area. And let's just say like, you know, the exit on the property is 3.6 million. Then you kind of have an idea. Okay, well, it's sold for 3.6 million. Then what you want to do is you want to reverse it, keep reversing it. So let's just say you found three properties that have the same sales price, same lot size, very similar. Then we have three properties to look at. And then what you want to do is you want to look at the square footage of what was built on it. And you're going to notice, Mauricio, that it's very similar, because at the end of the day, it's a copy and paste formula. And like, if there's one thing that I can share with you, like if you learn to do this once a year, and you don't have to go as big, you can start small with a little addition in back of your house, your mom's house, you know, whatever it is. Like, you do one of these a year, that's 10 properties. And that's going to be 10 properties that are going to go up in value. And at the end of the day, like, I know everyone's here looking like, I want to learn everything, but at the end of the day, we're all chasing one thing, is freedom. You know, at the end of the day, like, we want our time. Nobody wants to be working all day long. And that's like the one thing, like, I really want to stress is that we all have to learn, like how to generate some type of wealth through real estate, because real estate changed my life, and it can definitely, you can do the same thing for you. So Marcia, so once you have that exit and you're like, all right, we got 3 properties, they're all very similar in square footage. I look at what they bought them for. And then I'm going to get an idea. Okay, one bought for 700, one bought for 800, one bought for 750. And then I just look at the time frame of like, okay, when were they all bought? And then that would give me a gauge of the market, and that would give me an understanding of where they're at, and then like where, like, so if it maybe a sale was a year ago, then I know obviously it's going to be a little bit more, and it's going to be, the purchase price is going to be a little bit more than what the last one sold for 12 months ago, and then that would be one way to check the comparables, and then the other way is just like to do any regular comparables, you're gonna match like for like. So if there's 2 3-bedroom house sold for on one street, another one sold on another street, and it gave you a price of 700, 800, that would give you an idea. And then so that gives you an idea of the purchasing price, right? And then now you have to do the construction. And like now, like I know construction prices because we're working with so many contractors right now. So it's a little bit easier for me. But let's just say that I didn't know, right? Where do I go? I would try to, there's a few ways. So one way would be go out in the street and talk to contractors. Go get off the car and talk to the people building the houses. You know, that's one way. And then you're going to tell them, hey, look, I have a property, you know, it's very close to here. Like, you know, I'm looking at what you're building. It looks very similar to what I want to do. Like, but it's not that big. Like, just curious. Like, I know I have to give you plans. I know we have to like give you more information, but just a ballpark. Give me an idea on what the dollar per square foot is, right? So that's one way you can learn. And then the one thing is actually looking at your referrals of people that you know, because everybody knows a real estate agent, everybody knows a contractor, everybody knows an insurance person, everyone knows a doctor. Like we all know a lot of people. So if you can get a reliable source, which someone that is currently actively in the job, you know, currently building, not our uncle that like maybe was doing this 20 years ago, somebody that's really in the business, that, and then you want to match and you want to ask them, well, what kind of construction are you doing right now? Is it remodeling? Is it apartment buildings? Because that's going to gauge you of where you're going to be able to get your dollar per square foot. And then that's 2 ways. The third way is to go talk to the developers that are actually building, and see like, hey, what are you building? What's your dollar per square foot right now? What, you know, get an idea. And with those 3 sources, like you should be able to get a good idea of the dollar per square foot. And so like now we have our purchase price, now we have our construction costs, and there's something called soft costs. Soft cost is always going to stay the same, like no matter what. Like it's going to stay the same. There's going to be a dollar amount for plans. There's going to be a dollar amount for like an architect, structural engineering, and then there's going to be the city fees. I always like to gauge it. If we're doing a 4-unit, this number is only off of a 4-unit, a double duplex. It's going to range about 100 to 125,000. So like, it's just rule of thumb, 100,000 on top of that. And then that with those 3 numbers would be able to give you an idea, of what it really, like what would be into, what would it be cost, you know, what all those numbers mixed together is going to give you those numbers. But that's not even including a construction loan and interest. So that's like a whole other, amount of numbers and that's going to determine based off someone's experience with the banks. Are they getting low rates or are they doing cash? That makes sense?
Yeah, that's great. I guess to kind of just sum it up in using the fourplex combo, what kind of price range per square foot are you seeing for that kind of product?
Man, I see as low as 130 to 150, 160, 170, 180, 190. It just depends, because it depends on the contractors that have the really affordable subs. is
Got
what
it.
you're seeing, because and then it depends on their licenses. Like some of them like use licenses for everybody, license subs, and then that's where the fees start. The pricing starts going higher.
Got it. So it's safe to say, like on a high end conservative would be like 180 to even 200 a foot, just kind of like to add some padding there.
Yeah, unless you have some good referrals that are able to get the price a lot down.
And then what kind of profit margin do you add on top of that equation, right?
So that's gonna be based on the developer. So like if and there's different types of developers. There's developers that are doing many of these deals, 10, 20, 30 plus, right? And then there's developers that are doing maybe 5. And then there's maybe somebody like Ivan that wants to do 1, right? Like there's different, you got to understand, like everyone's different. So like, one person can say, you know what, man, like I have a job and I have some cash and I just want to do 1 because you know what, I can make way more money in my from working at my job. So that person might say, you know what, I might be okay with 200,000-300,000 because I make 100,000. So like if I can make 2 or 3 times more, then I'm fine. Right. And then you have another investor that might say, hey, you know what, there's a bare minimum of 400,000. And then there might be another one that might say 700,000. And there might say, hey, you know what, we're trying to do 100 of these deals a year. As long as we make 200,000-300,000 over the volume of deals, then we're happy, because we're not making a lot of money, but we're doing this times 100. So, and that's where you have to interview the person, say, hey, where's your deal flow at? And then you sort of pre-qualify the developer to know mentally where they're at.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Okay. What else? What other questions we have? We got like 45 people on here. Let's get some questions.
Hey, Danny, go for it, brother.
No.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hey, Danny. I know it's probably like a rookie question, man, but I'm trying to help my mom build an ADU in her backyard. What's the first step I got to do? We don't have a structure. It's torn down. It's just the floor. It used to be a carport, and I think there was a fire there when we bought the house.
Okay. And that's like not a rookie. That's actually like a really, really good question, because like we all are in different stages of our life, right? So like what Mario is, his question is really more realistic. Like that's realistic. And that's why like I don't want to go over the head with a lot of stuff. I want to be like if I was new. And so Mario's question was like, hey, look, at my mom has a house and I'm thinking about building the ADU, right? Right, Mario?
Yep.
Okay. So the first thing like is that you want to speak to that when you already have the house, if definitely you want to speak to at least 2 architects. Definitely. Okay. And then you want to see exactly what they would do. Sometimes even 3, but you're going to see at some point it's going to be the same thing over. And I can refer someone over to you, but you want to, number 1, check with an architect, and then ask them how much, pricing it's going to be, right? Whatever that is. And then from there, like, let's just say, you know what, I'm going to build, in that sense, like Mario, like most likely you probably scrape the whole garage and just start brand new.
Okay.
Because the garage is already old, unless you want to add to the garage.
Yeah, it's not even, there's nothing left over. It's just literally like the foundation, and it's nothing.
Yeah, then you would clear it out. So after that, once you have an idea of what you can do, and it's pretty simple, because like if you do 1 ADU, you can do up to 1,200 square feet in the back of a house. So you can do max, like some people, and you just have to like use your comps, like how much rent are we going to get, right? Like, so if we rent out a 3-bedroom, what's the rent going in this neighborhood? If we do a 2-bedroom, what's the rent? Because a 2-bedroom, you can probably get like 750 square feet for a good 2-bedroom. A 3-bedroom, you can probably do 1,000, 1,100, maybe 1,200. You want to max it out where you're saving costs on construction, and making the rooms a real good design. And once you sort of already identified what you can build on, then then, you know, the next thing is like the money, right? Like, well, first of all, like you would probably want to start talking to a few contractors to get an
Okay.
idea. Or you know what, you're gonna say, hey, look, it like my mom has a lot of equity in this house, and you know what, we're gonna do it no matter what. Maybe we're not gonna do it right now, but we're gonna get the plans going because it's gonna take anywhere from 3 to 6 months,
Mhm.
and then you know what, we'll build maybe down the road. So like you just start the process, and then and that usually takes 3 to 6 months normally,
Okay.
depending on the area. And then after that, like what, like a situation like yours, Mario, is like what you can do is get a HELOC. If
Okay.
for some reason you don't have the money, right? You're like, my mom bought this house 10 years ago. She has a ton of equity, bought it at 500.
Hey.
Bought it at 500. Now the house is worth $1 million, right? The value went up.
Right.
You you know, the best, if you don't have the money, then you go look for a HELOC, and then the best HELOC rates that you're gonna get is you're gonna go to a credit union.
Okay.
A credit union is gonna give you the best rate, and that's mostly the only banks that give you a good HELOC rate. And then you know, then you would borrow the money to build it out. But that's the first step, is that, or you know, get the plans, you know, and then you find the money. I always like do things backwards. Like, I honestly didn't know what we were going to talk about. I didn't know what it was going to say. I have no idea. I was just going to like let it flow and see where it goes. But like, you know, you always just got to think at the end in mind, right, Mario? Like,
Mhm.
hey,
Yeah.
look, I'm going to figure this out. We're going to make it happen. We want to create some generational wealth for our family, for me, for my mom. So I'm, you know, like you
Yeah.
already know you're going to do it. So like, you know, it's sort of like burn the ship, right? Yeah, you might spend $10,000-$15,000 on plans, but now you have a set of plans, and now like you're gonna like start thinking like, okay, I have the plans now. Like, all right, now I just gotta find the money. And then
Right.
your brain starts thinking in other avenues. You're like, hey, I can borrow 20 over here. I can sell a little bit of commission. I can get a HELOC. I can pull money out of another house. And
Right.
like and it's that easy. And so like that's like the best way to start on something small. You know, something small, a little ADU, get your feet wet, and then build up that equity, get some rental money. And that's always like the most easiest, simplest way, I would say.
Okay. Cool. Cool. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm gonna do that then. I'm gonna see. Maybe you can recommend me an architect, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, I got you.
Thank you,
And I'll
brother.
put it in the group here too as well. What other questions we have?
Hi, Danny. Marco here. I actually have a question.
Hey, Marco.
Yeah, thanks for always holding a meetup, sharing your knowledge. So thank you. Really appreciate it. So a couple of questions. So right now I'm in escrow for a fourplex. I have three tenants. I'm inheriting those three tenants. I'm just doing my research right now how I can evict those or offer cash for key. I just want to know my options. What would you do in this situation? It's a fourplex R3 zoning. Yeah, it's a huge lot, so I saw the potential, but yeah, it comes with three tenants.
So where's the property located at?
It's Los Angeles. It's near American Career College, Vermont.
Got it. Okay. Got it. There's a few things. Like, I bought a few properties, and they were not an investment. And like, I bought them out of sort of ego. I bought them because I wanted property, and you know, I want to be able to like say, hey, I own property. But at the end of the day, like, they were over the long term of things, like over the grand scheme of the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, like, yeah, they're gonna benefit me. But like, I have, you know, 3 properties actually that are not making any money. Like, they're not like, I'm dishing money every single month, and like, honestly, like, it's not the best. It's not an investment, and you know, you really end up stressing yourself out more than what you really is, than to really, because you're buying a property to have an investment. Like, I mean, maybe if you're okay with waiting, then that's fine. But like, sometimes we want to see money now, like at least a little bit of money now. And so Marcos, you have to really like ask yourself like, well, like, is the mortgage going to get paid? Or am I going to have to dish out money out of pocket? Because at the end of the day, like you just don't want to like, keep paying money out of pocket because like you're just, it just you're bleeding every month. But like any negotiation or anything like that, like you want to do it in escrow, or unless you're like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna take the hit. I'm just gonna take the tenants. I'm gonna inherit the tenants. And the last thing you want to do is like inherit a tenant that's handicapped, that's older than like 65, and that's been there for a really long time, because you're never gonna get them out. I don't care what you say. I have one right now. It's going on 6 years. Till this day, I have not been able to get the tenant out. We offered her money, and she's riding as much as she can. She pays $550 for a 2-bedroom in Boyle Heights, and she's suing me. And every month there's always a water leak. There's always this, and so like I'm like upside down every single month, because the rent that comes in don't even pay. First of all, it doesn't cover the mortgage, and then secondly, there's always that the house is owed, and like, let's be honest, like I'm like, well, why am I going to fix the house? Like, they're not paying me anything, so why should I fix it? But every month there's a tab, a service call, $200, water leak here, like, and it ends up being like roughly like an estimate of like $1,000 every month, over the course of 12 months. Like, there's always something going on in that old house. But the thing is that like I had the energy when I first got in the business, and I don't have it as much as I used to the tolerance to deal with somebody, because what I'm realizing right now is that, like, first of all, it's not an investment, and then secondly, like, yeah, I'm gonna grow on the appreciation. It's 5 minutes from downtown LA, which is amazing, but like the peace of mind and the stress, because my frequency level is up here, right? I'm high up here, and the tenant is down here, and like, there's always issues, and so like, do I really want to spend my time down here? And they're negative. They don't want to move. They don't want to work. So I don't want to spend my time and my energy on that, because I can be focused on other things that are gonna be more profitable. And at the end of the day, it's peace of mind. I'm getting sued for $150,000 right now from her, and then I had a bad attorney. So like, it's just like that time and the energy and the headache of that. So to go back, the question, Marco, is like, you really want to make sure that this property is going to be like cash flowing, or you're going to be able to negotiate some cash for keys in escrow. And so if you get that far and they're like, hey, you know what, we'll take some money, you want to get that in writing, and you want to get it notarized, and you want it all documented, and then you send it to escrow, and then you can either pay them through escrow.
Okay, got it. And then for your property, are you looking to exit or sell those properties that are not performing for you?
No, I mean, because no one's gonna buy them. Like, no, realistically, like, I just bought them because they were in the area that I wanted to be in, and I'm always thinking the long game, so I'll win over the long game, and that's like the whole play. But like, realistically, I won't get my money back. I'm gonna lose, and so I just gotta suck it up, and I just gotta, and that's where I'm actually doing units on one of them. So that's where my value is gonna come in, where I can cash flow, and then basically get it, at least the rent up, and then the value of the property up.
Got it. Thank you.
Omar. Omar, you had a question? You're on mute.
Apologize, man.
There you go. Yeah.
First off, thank you for the time. I greatly appreciate it. Number two,
really quick, Omar, I don't mean to cut you off, but like, and I know Marco said the same thing. I really want everyone to know, like, is really, besides learning real estate, I always kind of like, throw this commercial in there, right? Like, is that like, you guys all can do this, number one. Like number one, like to like really understand that everyone can do this on here. And like if I was able to do it, you definitely can do it. And like it's at the end of the day, like my success that everyone sees through social media, whatever, it's correlated with a lot of hard work. And like, and there's no difference between anybody. We're all the same. So it's just that I'm showing up every single day and I'm doing the same thing. So like what you're seeing right now has been work that I've been doing for since 2015, you know, and it's just the consistency and the compound effect of where we're at now. And then number one, and then like, and like to close that is that like, man, the glory goes to God at the end of the day. Like, I mean, if it wasn't for God, like, I mean, I wouldn't be in this with my faith and everything like that. So like, as much as you think I'm doing this for you, you're doing it for me, because at the end of the day, it's at least the minimum, the least I can do is show and give back and help and inspire and give a testimony to God that this shit is possible for all of us. But you know, at the end of the day, who's gonna get up? Who's gonna go to work after this call and take notes and say, I'm gonna start rocking and roll. I'm gonna try to do something. And that problem is that most of us don't. So, but thank you, thank you for everyone who joined, because, you know, that's what it is. The secret of living is giving. The more we give, the more we help, the more we're going to get back. And that's just a given.
Awesome. Well, thank
Yes,
you
sir.
again. My question is this. So me and my partner have a duplex. We're going to be adding 2 ADUs to it. And obviously when that's done, would you recommend us to actually get like a line of credit, access the cash out, and then go look and do that to more properties? Or would you say when the
No, go ahead. So you have a property, you have a duplex, you're adding 2 ADUs to it?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
We're adding
and then
2 ADUs to it right now. So we're waiting for the initial plans from the engineer to come back. So we're going to hopefully get those back in the next couple of weeks. And I guess we're hoping that we'll probably have everything done in the next, 2 to 6 months if everything goes right. But once that's done, I mean, would you recommend that we access the equity that we have in the homes to move forward and buy more properties? Or would you say, hey, what would you recommend?
It depends on, like, there's a few things that I would look at, right? So it's, so you have a partner. So, right, you have a partner. So you have 50% of the profit, you know, unless you sort of change the structure. And then secondly is, are you doing the construction cash?
We're gonna get a loan on it.
You're gonna get a loan on it. Okay, so number one, you're gonna have to pay that loan back on a refinance. You're gonna refinance the property and then decide, like, do we want to, you know, build more of our empire, or do we want to kind of leave the money in there, is pretty much the question.
Correct.
So you also too, it's like everyone's different. Like, so you just gotta, like, well, you know, what do you do for work, or what do you do?
You know, we're in real estate. We're mortgage brokers down here in Orange County. So like everybody else, you know, we're trying to make things happen, but you know, we're finding different avenues.
Yeah, the most, and is the property locally, or?
Yeah, it's in Orange, right by the circle.
Okay, so like it's more of a personal decision. Like, do we want to sort of buy more property, and is it more of like, do we want to build this empire, or is it more off of ego? Or, you know, like, at least for myself,
I don't think it's ego.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, like,
I
that's
don't
something that I would,
yeah.
then it's like, cause sometimes it's like, you know, everyone has a different way of looking at it. They're like, well, cause the beauty of what I get to do, I get to work with a lot of successful clients. And that was the reason why I started doing this, because I was watching and seeing what they were doing. But like, some people are happy, like, hey, let's just pay down the property. We don't own 10 doors or 20 doors or 100 doors, but we have 5 properties free and clear. Right. But if you're, you know, it depends on also too, your partner, like, well, do we want to pull cash out? Like at the end of the day, you want to make sure it at least cash flows and breaks even then before anything. So like, if it's not going to cash flow or it's not going to break even, then it becomes like it don't even really become a good investment. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you have a prop, like I have one right now that's like that. And dude, we don't even make any, I haven't seen any money in 2 years. And I own it. Same thing with a partner. And we're going to add an ADU. And I'm like, man, like, when are we going to see money? You know, and then I only get 50% of it. So it's more of a more of a personal decision. Like, hey, look at, like, Do we want to cash flow right now, or do we want to at least scale our business? And then you also have to see the relationship with the partner, right? Like, you know, do their values and everything that they do, are they aligned with yours? Because if they're not,
Very much so.
yeah, then if it is, then great. But if it's not, then it's really hard to. I mean, because at the end of the day, you're sleeping, you're in bed with them.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
so and then, you know, but we have
What do
other
you,
people.
as far as cash flow, what do you look for? How much cash
Dude,
flow do you look minimum on property?
The problem is with LA, dude, it's really hard. You know, it's really tough. It's really tough to get like to do what we're telling you, what I'm sharing right now, to do, and to like cash flow crazy, dude. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen right now. Like, I would be happy. Like, this is more of me. Like me. This is not like, it would be like $500 per door. If I can get $500 per door, ideally.
Right.
But or $1,000 per door, ideally. But dude, it's tough because of the rates. It's tough because of the construction or whatever it is. Like, it's very
Absolutely.
tough. You know what I'm saying? But I have one that I'm going to do right now that is very similar to, we have two and we're going to build two. And like, I'm just paying back. I'm just putting back in, I'm not even touching the construction money that I put into it, because I want a cash flow. Like, I want some, like, and that one's going to cash flow like $2,500, $3,000. You see what I'm saying? And it's more too, also, you have to look at it this way. Like, if you have, you know, a few properties and you have money coming in, then like sort of, it takes the stress off of the daily, right? But like, if we're in the business and, you know, we're constantly, you know, we have constantly stuff coming in and out, you know, so it's a little bit different for us because we're looking down the road. You muted again.
Sorry. I also got a great eviction attorney, Calder and Mello. They're out of Yorba Linda. I'll put it in the notes. Thank God I've only used them once, but every attorney was waiting to sit down with them and get advice on what to do. So I'll put them in the chat and anybody could use them.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you. So, more questions. Let's get some questions.
Hey, Danny.
Hey, Moses.
This is James Carrero again.
Oh, James. Hey, James.
Alrighty. So yeah, I see you posting a lot of projects that you're working on, buildings. Wanted to ask you, what percentage of those are you invested into, and what percentage are they like?
Ready to get
You're
out?
just maybe finding deals, land, and then you have investors developing themselves, and you're just the listing agent, or are you kind of doing both, or are you tied into all of the properties yourself?
So, great question. So he's asking how many am I personally invested in, and then how many am I acting as the real estate broker? I'm about like 50-50 right now. About 50-50.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
Moses.
Hey, what's up, Danny? All right, so a quick question on these properties that I know Victoria works and the paperwork end of it. When you get them into escrow, do you have the seller waiting for the SBA to get cleared through the city before, you know, moving ahead? Because if it doesn't clear the SBA, I mean, you're not going to go the route that you're going to go with.
Correct. Yeah. So what he's asking about is the process of an SB8 application right now is in the city of LA. Like, you have to clear the SB8 application. So what that means is if the owner lived in the property more than 5 years, is just so everybody understands what that application is. And it's really hurting developers right now in the city of LA, because if it does not clear if we cannot clear it, then what that means is that, let's just say there's a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and then basically if it's a 2-bedroom, 1 bath and the tenant lived in there, but you're able to get it vacant, then you're gonna have to, when you tear it down and you rebuild it, then what you're gonna have to do is give that back to the city and rent it for low income. So it's sort of like a dent, really it's like a wrench in your property, and it's stuck on there for like I think it's, from my understanding, since it's so new, I heard it's forever, but some people say it's more like 50 years. So that's
Wow.
that's that application, so everyone can understand what the question that Moses asked. But I'll let Victoria sort of answer that question.
So I know fairly quickly whether it's gonna pass or not, and that's when typically, like for example, today I had a phone call consultation, and then from there I can kind of evaluate based off of their answers, and then I can go back to Danny and say, hey Danny, like this one has the green light, we're gonna clear. Even though we're not even in escrow yet, we're still negotiating price, we're still trying to figure things out. Just based off of that conversation with the seller, we'll know whether it's going to pass.
Okay. So does the SBA apply if it's owner occ? It doesn't apply, right, Danny?
No, so it's going to clear.
Yeah, if it's owner occ, automatically it clears, but you still have to do the application through the city?
Yes. So no matter what, whether whatever new development there is, you have to do the SB8 application.
Okay, so regardless if it's rented or owner occ, you have to do the application. But with your guys' experience, if it's owner occ, it's going to clear pretty much automatically because it is owner occ. But if it's a rental, that's where all the small little hurdles come through.
Well, no matter what, it's the SB8 application is a hurdle. No matter what, you just know whether you're gonna hit that hurdle or not. If
Yeah,
it's
were you
not
gonna clear it or not? Are you gonna hit the hurdle, or are you gonna clear the hurdle?
No matter what, you have to go over it.
Okay. And at that point, then you guys make the decision, okay, is it worth moving forward, or do we just at that point just let it go by the wayside and sell it in a different route? Because if you have a seller that's willing to sell,
it depends on the price.
Yeah,
it depends on price. Like
which way it makes sense, right?
Yeah, it makes sense because you have to already like identify that unit that you're not going to get top rent for it, as well. So also too, I'm just thinking right now. Mario had that question about the ADU. Is that like when you design your the number one thing that we see that right now is that the architects they sort of just spit stuff out, and they don't care.
Yeah.
They just throw it out. They overbuild. They don't give a shit. It's just they just kind of push it through. So what Mario, like what you want to do is spend time with the architect and like just sort of take your time and like design the building, like design it. Like, okay, how are the rooms set up? Like, is there a washer and dryer? Like, is the rooms in place where it's gonna flow? And if it's easier, if the rooms are a good size, ideally like 11 by 11 or bigger, then you have some decent rooms for a bed and some dressers on the side. Like if you get them too small, your rents are going to get cut. So you want to make sure that's very, very important, because like I sort of let the architect do whatever he wanted, and then they start messing up the stuff. And then, or what happens, you have to recorrect it, and it takes longer, and then they want more money. So you want to make sure the rooms are good, if there's a good flow of the building, and you don't hesitate to tell them like, hey, I don't like this setup. Give me another setup. Like change the rooms. I don't like how this door's here. There's a long hallway. Like there's no closet over here. Like take some time, some thought, and see like if I lived here, how would I want it to be? And then you'll get a good design. And that's one thing that we're doing on everything right now, because like the architect is doing his job. But as a consumer, as a buyer, as a seller, as a renter, like you have to put yourself in that position as well. And then you're going to be able to get top dollar for the building. You're going to be able to get top rents, top dollar, whatever that is.
Thanks, Danny.
Yeah. Mauricio, you have a question? Another question?
Yeah, one more question. You mentioned you only buy LA City. I would like to understand why and what kind of challenges do you see with the other municipalities surrounding the greater LA market?
So the question is, that why are we only purchasing in LA City? I built my business in the city of LA, and like, I want everyone to leave with value, and I want everyone to, like, you know, be able to make some money, or at least to maybe like learn how to, you know, do what we're doing, and maybe at a small level, bigger level, whatever that is, right? And one thing is is that what I did really good is that I would meet people that were building. I would meet flippers. I would get off the car. I would talk to the construction workers. I would talk to the people that were, you know, the neighbors, and I would try to understand what these developers were doing, these flippers, these developers. And I would pre-qual them, like, well, how many deals you doing? You know, how many deals you got right now? How much are under construction? You know, how many are you buying? And that would gauge me if he becomes this motivated buyer. Because if he's a motivated buyer, like, you're going to be able to put deals under contract. And so that's why, like, I know all these builders and all these developers, but we only work with the few because, like, they're the most motivated. And then, like, right now, I mean, like, the purchasing is like, you know, it's like, we're really only working with like a handful of people, you know? So that's one thing, right? That's you wanna do that. And then, so, like, it's sort of like Marissa's, like, it's kind of like all I know, and it's where it became more scalable because you can't do it in Orange County. And if you go outside of city of LA, every city has its own rules and regulations. So if you go to Bell Gardens, if you go to Paramount, if you go to, you know, whatever it is, like Downey, you're not going to see what we're doing. Like, you're not going to see two buildings that are 4 units, 5 bedrooms, 5 baths each. You know, you're not going to see it. You know, you go down one street in LA, you have 3, 4, 5, 10 houses done. Every house is pretty much under construction. So to me, those are opportunities. And that's the reason why I stuck in LA, because LA is so big, but also so small. And then, like, so, and it's just like, LA is just where it's at. Like, I mean, you want to make money, it's like in LA. Like, I mean, in investing, you know. So does that answer that question, Mauricio? Or
yeah,
I know you said what?
Good enough. Thanks. That makes a lot of sense. It's just
there's
scale.
more comps. Yeah, there's more comps. There's more like, you know, renters. Like, it's just, you know, and I always like to stay within 10 to 15 minutes from downtown LA. You know, so that's one thing. And this is all I know. Like, this is all I know. I've been working LA. It's like, but also too, like, what I like have been considering, because, like, I asked somebody, or I told someone that, like, it's really hard to cash flow out here. It's really tough. So you have to, like, look at it like, do I want to hold on to property for 10, 15, 20 years to benefit it? And you're like, man, I don't know, right? Or do I want to cash flow now? And, like, I've never thought about it, but now I'm considering to look out of state, because I want more cash flow. Because if I have cash flow and I have appreciation game, then we have the cash flow and we have the appreciation game, and then the little bit of cash flow here. And then, like, the out of state becomes more realistic, where you can buy something for $50,000, $60,000 and put a Section 8 in tenant. I haven't done that, but I've been doing my research and doing my little homework, because, you know, I sort of am considering it, because I want to cash flow more than what I am, because, like, everything takes 18 months. So, like, how many 18 months in my life do I have? Like, you know, and that's just realistically, like, it's just like, I don't want to have, like, be 50 and barely reaping the rewards. I want to reap the rewards now. You know, and at the end of the day, we're playing the appreciation game. You know, we're playing the legacy game. But at the end of the day, like, I want to at least enjoy that now. Like, I want my daughter to enjoy it, but also too, I want to enjoy it. You know, so that's something that you want to consider. But like I said, like, it's just, there's the LA is a boiling pot. It's just so many people, so much stuff going on, so many developers, so many flippers, so many people in that area. And you're able to scale. Like, you're really able to scale, because there's so many people, so many people and so much stuff going on in the city of LA. Somebody had a question. I was wondering how you feel about the new modular home kits you can buy and pre-build ADUs. So basically the question is that like how I feel about like these prefab homes. I have no experience from them, so I really don't know how to answer that question. So I wouldn't be able to answer it, but I at the end of the day, like I've looked into that stuff, but regular construction has always been more affordable in what I've seen. What else? What other questions we have?
Hey, Danny, I got a quick question.
Sure.
It's about ADUs. So in your guys' experience in your marketplace, when you're building a new ADU, how much value add is that? Like, for example, like if the main house, let's say it's all fixed up and let's say they're selling, like comps are selling for $500 a square foot, and then you guys add 1,000 square foot ADU, like does that get like the full $500 per square foot value add, or based on your experience, like what does it get? Does it get like half, or does it get, I mean, is there any kind of like formula for that, or is it kind of just vary by area?
Yeah, so you really want that's a great question. So he wants to know, like, basically if he has a house and it's selling for $500 a square foot. I have Instagram Live on, so I want to restate the question. So he has a house, it's 500, it's worth $500 a square foot, and he wants to build 1,000 square feet, and he's saying, would I be able to get that $500 per square foot for the back? Is that seem about right?
Yeah. Or like in your experience, like if you guys do like the cash out refi thing or whatever, or like, refinance into like a traditional loan, like what value is the appraisers in your marketplace giving for like an ADU ad?
So it depends on the location. So like when you don't have a lot of ADU comps, you have to sort of like match it with a duplex is ideally is what you would do. But like I really have not considered to do any ADUs unless I know there's comps. Like I want to see 1, 2, 3 comps, and it doesn't have to be on the market. It can be off market. But I want to see at least some comps to support what I'm going to do. I don't want to be the pioneer.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be the first one to do the ADU. So that's how I would turn. But I have also spoke to appraisers and ask them like, hey, I'm going to consider to do this in this city. Like just want to hear your thoughts. Like, or also I tie them in like, hey, I would say, hey, Jesse, how are you? It's Danny Navarro. I'm a real estate agent out here in LA. And, you know what, I got referred from there, as an appraiser. I'm just curious, like, are you still actively working? He's going to say yes, because we're working a lot of sellers and buyers. I'm going to talk to him for a bit, and then, I'm going to hook him, right? I'm going to say, hey, well, you know what? We work with a lot of people. I can give you some business. But the reason why I'm calling you right now is because, you know what? I'm considering to do an ADU, and I just wanted to get an expert opinion, right? So that's normally like also what I would do. And I'd also do my own comps and then just like kind of drive around the area, learn the area to see what's going on before I make that decision. But like I said, there's always 2 to 3 comps that I need to see, ideally. And you got to know your market. And that's the thing is that like why I stay in one area, because I know the market. Like you tell me streets, I live in Orange County and I don't even work in Orange County. It's just that we have so much business in LA, but I know the areas, I know streets. If you tell me streets, tell me cross streets, I'm like pretty good, pretty quick to kind of know a price. And that just really comes with experience. But normally, like you're never really going to see that $500 per square foot on an ADU. Like it's that to me, that value seems way too high,
Got it.
But and then also too, like you also have to consider like on that takeout loan, and that kind of goes to with Omar too. Like a lot of people do is do interest only, and you have to just weigh the cost. Like, do we do an interest only loan for the first couple years, or do we do a principal and interest? And you got to just weigh out the numbers and see what's going to benefit you. And then like, do I want to take out the money that I use to build the property? Do I want to take it out or do I want to leave it? You know what I'm saying? And that's sort of where, so it's a lot of like more preference and personal decisions that you have to make based off your life. right? Because everyone's in a different stage of life. You know, we're all in different stages. We're all in different, you know, most of us are in the real estate business, but everyone's in a different cycle right now. And like, you know, you just got to see what's going to benefit me. And like, the one thing is too, like, really, like, see what benefits you then versus like, honestly, looking at other people. Like, we sort of like, oh, well, this person has this, and you kind of get caught up like, oh, I want that, you know, I want that many doors, or I want this. And you kind of like, just like forget, like, what is it really that I want? And what I've learned, Jesse, or what I'm learning is that right now, dude, like, I just want enough income coming in to pay for the bills, like my lifestyle. That's it. Like, that's not even like that's all I want right now, because that's going to give me the peace of mind that I feel that I personally want in my life right now, where I can go home at 5 o'clock and I can go hang out with my family and I can have a somewhat normal life, because I get up super early. You know, I work for a period to the end of the day, and then I fit my family in, and then like some days out of the week I'm back at work. You know, once they're asleep, they're in bed, I'm like, I got to get an hour or two of work. You know, like, I have 4 properties I have to underwrite right now. You know, so like, you got to see what do you really want. And at the end of the day, like, we want freedom, we want option, and we want choices. Like, we want that, and we want peace of mind. Like, the more you have peace of mind in your life, the more you're going to be able to make better financial decisions. You're going to be like in a better space versus like, you know, you're just like freaking stressing out every month, worrying about this, worrying about that. And if we get in that stage right there, like, how much more easier is to make better decisions? How much more easier is to be more creative with stuff? And so that's why, like, let's just like keep it very, very simple. Like, man, like, how about if we just get 5 houses in the next 10 years? Like, how much would that make a difference in our life? Right? There's some people that want more, but at the end of the day, what do we really need? That's it. Like, let's not like say like, what do we want? Like, what do we really need? What would really like be the threshold, and start from there? Because once we build from there, like, then we can capitalize and go where we want to go. And if it's 100 doors or 10 doors or 5 doors, but for me, I sort of was like not staying in my lane and wanting to be like so many other people. At the end of the day, it only caused me stress and headaches, and that's all it did. And that's why I say, for me, it was all ego. And it's like, now it's like, I want peace of mind. I don't want to stress. I don't want to over leverage. It's not worth my health. It's not worth like me being at the dinner table and not even being present. Like, it's like they're talking to me, but I'm like not there. Right? So that you really want to see, like, what is it that I really, really like need? Like, what would be okay? Like, 1 house a year, 2, whatever that is. Anything else, Jesse, on that?
No, that's good. Thank you. A lot of good info.
Hector, I know it's not Hector, but it's Hector's nephew or something, right?
Yeah. Hey, Danny.
Hey, bro.
So I hope I don't go off topic, but like, I had a question. Like, say if, you know, for your daughter wise, right? Like, if she gets in the business or if she doesn't, like, what's the route that you'll have her like kind of go around when getting into it? Like, yeah, the learning stage and real estate wise, like knowledge, but like what to buy, what to get into to really evolve what you're building in a sense.
That's a tough question. So his question is like, what's my plans for my daughter, right? Right? Or that kind of.
Well, it can be a family member, just it doesn't really matter, but I specifically said daughter because if she gets in the business or she doesn't, it's a different look.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I'm barely starting my family, right? So I'm in a different stage, and so like, I know there's probably people that have more children than me and have their children that are a lot bigger. So like, I don't think I can probably answer that question the best, but like, I would love for my family, my daughter, to be in the business, but I don't know. I really don't know how that looks. Like, but there's one thing for sure: when she turns 18, like she has to have a real estate license. That's just like, it's like a driver's license, because maybe she don't get in the business, but hey, how about she buys her house? And, or how, let's just say she sells the house. Like, that's like, for me to be like, that's like, for sure, you have to get your real estate license. But like, I don't know. Like, I wish, but the thing is, like, as I'm growing my real estate team as well, like, I can't motivate everybody. I can't push everybody to do things that I want, because everyone has different goals. Everyone has different, like, what they want. Like, no one wants to make this much money or sell that many homes or build that many homes. Everyone's in a different stage. So, but, and that's what I'm personally learning. Like, I just want to, and that's same thing for here. Like, I want to be able to, like, sort of bring it down. So, like, what's more realistic to stuff? Like, what are we, because at the end of the day, like, we're all pretty much new in here, or, you know, maybe on the earlier stages. Like, let's just get in a place where we can, you know, be more free from stuff, right? And that's like, well, can we do a house a year? You know, but it's really hard to inspire people and push people when they don't have the hunger and the drive behind them. And sometimes they're just not ready yet, you know, because we let go 2 team members because they just weren't doing what they needed to do. And that's okay. You know, I have family that I tried to get in the business. They didn't want to get in the business. That's okay. I'm not making them right. I'm not making them wrong. Everything's perfect. And that's the way I live my life, you know, is that, like, everything's perfect. So if it's not going well, hey, that's perfect. You know, I had a bad day. Hey, that's perfect. You know what? I couldn't leave or whatever, something happened. Hey, that's perfect. Everything's perfect. And that's the same way I look at, like, with family and friends, like, hey, that's perfect the way they are. I'm not going to judge them. I love them. I appreciate them. I'm here to support them and inspire them. And that's all I can do. You know, I'm not better than them or anything like that. It's like, hey, but that's the way I look at it. Like, everything's perfect. You know, maybe it doesn't go well. Maybe, but we also have to understand, like, is that, like, you got to just have the faith and trust that it's all going to work out, right? Maybe, like, you know, someone is going through a bad time and you're like, well, how can you say everything's perfect when it's not, right? But I have the faith and the belief and trust in God that it's going to work itself out. And how do I know that? Because my ass was in prison. And I had my client call me today, and, like, I'm a little hesitant about my clients knowing. And he called today, and he's like, Danny Navarro. And I'm like, damn, he sounds like a principal or something, like, and then I'm like, it wasn't his normal, hey, how are you today, right? He was he leveled himself down. Like, he felt more like a friend, right? Versus, like, sort of kind of being a little bit more, you know, like professional, right? And he goes, hey, I seen you on TikTok, and like, I'm just really inspired by you. And I was just, like, blown away, because, you know, it's amazing. And that's the reason why I'm doing these calls. And that's the reason why I want to continue to help, because I've been blessed. And we're barely beginning. We're barely, like, starting off. Like, I'm barely starting my career, what I would say. Like, and so, like, you know, he's like, I'm so inspired, right? And I'm like, it felt really awesome to hear that. But, like, we were talking, and the whole point, what I'm getting at is that, like, dude, I was so dark and ugly for so many years. It was tough, but, like, I didn't give up. I kept moving. And did I have setbacks? Of course. But I knew that at some point it was going to change. And, dude, this is like a 20-year success story. I got incarcerated in 2004. Got released in 2013. Got into the business in 2000. It's like a 20-year journey. And that's, like, the thing is, like, man, like, we just cannot give up, and we got to, like, have that faith and know that, hey, it's gonna work out. And that's why, dude, it's perfect. We lose money, it's perfect. Well, it's not gonna happen again. And that's, like, you can live that, like, in all areas of your life, if you really, like, come that way, like, hey, it's perfect the way it is. I don't talk to my uncle, whatever. I'm just saying, like, example. Hey, it's perfect. You know what I'm saying? Life is always it's like Tony Robbins says it, right? Like life is happening for us, not to us. Right? If we understand that our life is happening, it's for us. It's the way things are working, it's for us. It's not to us. It's lessons. And that's like the beauty of it. Like that's the beauty of this. And like, and what the more that I'm starting to realize too is that like I'm like, dude, real estate changed my life. Like I'm like, fuck, what, you know, what I would have been if I would have not been in real estate, what I would have been doing. And so like the more that like I'm learning about, you know, my journey in my life, like I'm like, wow, like if it wasn't for real estate, like what would I be doing? And it's so cool, right? It's so cool that this real estate, that a vehicle that I was on for the last 8 years, how much opportunity it gave me, you know? And, you know, we did the expireds, we did the open houses, like we did all that, and it was a vehicle. And that's the beauty about real estate. Like there's so many vehicles. My vehicle is just one of many. You can do commercial, you can do apartments, you can do, there's so many other avenues. You got to see just what it is that really inspires you and what you gravitate to. You know, I like construction, I like apartments, I like passive income. So this is the reason like why I'm gravitating like this way. And so like, you know, it's really beautiful and amazing because, you know, real estate can really change your life. And I've sold so many homes that I've seen the benefit of real estate, with basically, like, for example, they sell their house, a seller sells their house, and it goes to the daughter, and the daughter's getting ready to put her son into college, you know, or, you know, hey, we're going to invest with this money. So that's the beauty of this, the beauty of real estate. And all I'm trying to help everyone is to be more conscious in this real estate game, because the more we have to do these meetings and collaborate with each other and talk, because if not, then we just become transactional based, and we're just like on a hamster all day long, chasing the next deal, chasing the next sale. And then it's just like, it's like, when is enough? When is enough? And you become tired, you know? And so I know, Sergio, I'll answer your question right now. So, but like you become tired. So, but that's the beauty. And I really want to open your eyes on the opportunity that real estate has for all of us. It just depends on what route you want to take it. And like, I know this is kind of like off topic, but like it's kind of off topic, but I want to mention it because I think it's very powerful. When I first got in the business, I obviously didn't believe in myself. I obviously didn't have the income and didn't have the experience. But I would write in a journal every single day, religiously. Like no matter what, I would write in a journal every single day for years. And I didn't realize what I was doing to years later, where I'm like, shit, you know, now I'm seeing the benefits of it. And what I would write is what I appreciated every day. Because when we wake up, for the most part, we wake up maybe negative. You know, maybe we most of the time, like the mind sort of goes to negativity in the morning. And like, so what's the number one way to fix that? You know, for me, is a workout to get out of that space right away, or to take some time and really appreciate what I have today. So what, you know, so if it's in bed or whatever, and I would appreciate, well, man, I have my hands, I have my voice, I have my eyes, I have my health. And when you start stacking up a bunch of this good stuff, I have my family, I have my wife, I have, you know, like, you start stacking all that, like, how can you be in a shitty mood? And if you cannot get there, then what I used to do is I used to go deeper into that to get there, and to get into that appreciation and gratitude space. And that was more powerful than me rushing out the door to go to work and to just kind of go by the day. And it sometimes it would take 5 minutes, sometimes it'll take 20 minutes, sometimes it'll take a while, but I was getting it in a space of appreciation and gratitude. Because when we really get in that space of appreciation and gratitude, life is amazing. Because we know people that are worse off than how we are right now, right? And there's always going to be somebody worse off than where we're at. And you're like, man, like, and that's the beauty of it, like really getting in that space. And then, so I would write down what I appreciate. And then I would write down my intention. So what was my intention? You know, it could have been to be a successful real estate agent. It could have been to be a successful father, whatever it is. I would go into the intention. I wanted to be happy. What are the emotions that you wanted to get into? Like, that's what you want to do, because this journey is it is action, but a lot of it is emotions. We have to tap into the emotions of feeling it. And so I want to be happy. I want to be relaxed. And then I would dive into the delegation. And that was what I did every day in a journal. And then the delegation part of it was my goals. But I would write down my goals as if they already came true. So what did that look like? Hey, well, thank you, Jesus, for giving me this or getting this or something better. So my goals were already like, thank you, Jesus, for giving me whatever, X, Y, and Z, and having what I wanted. And I would write that over and over, different goals, different stuff. And when I look back, like, most of all that stuff came to me. And if it didn't, maybe it wasn't meant for me at that moment, or maybe it just wasn't meant for me at all. But I would do that every single day: appreciation, intention, delegation. And then what I started seeing is a lot of the stuff started happening. And then I would go out to the job sites and I would visualize myself going there, visualize myself jumping off at the projects, visualize myself talking to the workers as if I was that person, if I was the owner. And when you, like, how many of us, like, or I won't say how many, but like how many, like, you heard, or like people that, like, they believe a lie so much that they think it's true, right? Everyone agree, right? Like, you tell a lie over and over and over, you're gonna think it becomes true, right? You become, like,
Yep.
And that's the power of the mind. You keep playing the story over and over and over in your head, it's gonna happen. And maybe it doesn't. You're just maybe not ready for it. There's a timing. Everything's timing in our life. Like, it's just, stuff happens. And the reason why I have been able to scale and in these last 12 months is because it was preparation for the years. And it was just like perfect time, perfect opportunity, and we just scaled. And it's just the beginning of scaling. And that's the crazy part. And so that's the power of that process of doing it. Hey, I want to lose some weight. And I would do that every day. And then I would, most of the time I would follow up in a workout, because when we get into this space of any kind of physical activity, running, extra, whatever that looks like for you, like, your body starts to change, your emotions start to change. And then now, like, you get in this flow state of being free. And, for me, I get creative. I'm happy. I get in this better space where I can operate. And if you use that in your business, like, it's a game changer. It's 100% game changer. And even with a partner, like, I don't know how many of you know, but like, I used to write down what I wanted in a wife. And like, anyone that knows me knows my wife, it's exactly like everything, every single thing. And I did that in 2016. She showed up in 2018. Why 2 years later? I have no damn clue. Maybe I wasn't ready. I don't know. But it took 2 years for her to show up. And most of the time, most of the time it was me, right? I wasn't being this person that I needed to be to attract this person in my life. And that's the one thing is like, we want to invest, we want to develop or whatever it is, sell more houses or, whatever that is, we have to be this person today. So it matches. And that's the freaking beauty of it. And 2 years later, she showed up. And that's the power of writing down what I want and reading it over and over. And then it matched stuff with my being of who Danny was being every single day. Who was Danny being? And that's what you want to really work on. Who am I being today? Who am I being? Who do I need to be to earn 100,000, 50,000, 200,000, a million? Who do I need to be? How am I acting today? Am I getting frustrated? Am I cussing? And you know what? We're all learning and no one's perfect and we're all growing. But like you really want to come from that space. And you'll see the business coming. Am I acting as someone that's selling 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 homes a month? Is my being in alignment? And is who I am being that is right now going to attract this partner that I want? And so that's the power of the being process of the journaling and then matching it with the action. We'll do ladies first. Sergio, you have to wait. Beverly or
Hi, Danny. Yes, it's Beverly here. I'm an LA agent. I've been following you for a while, and I just admire your story, and I'm glad that you give all praise and honor to our Lord Jesus. I have a quick question. I have a family member that is out of prison and wants to get their real estate license. What obstacles and challenges did you have to overcome to get licensed?
Okay, yeah. So the question is, basically, they have a family member that is either that wants to get their real estate license that has been incarcerated or that's been incarcerated or have a record, and they want to know what steps to take. So that is, it's really gonna be. It depends on the activity of not the activity, but of the conviction. So, like, if it's fraud, from what I heard, it's really hard and it's really impossible. Or if it's like some really bad violence. But if it's more of like me, right? Mine was a drug case, non-violent. So it was a lot easier for me. And then also too, it happened when I was a juvenile, so I was younger. So that's like also too, those were in my favor. But I helped actually 3 people get the real estate license. That all had, criminal records, that all went to prison because they wanted to get in the business. So and we can use this in all areas of our life. It's like, how bad do we want it, right? Like, how bad do you really want this, right? If it's, a car, a house, a job, or whatever, when you really want something like really bad, you're going to figure out how to make it happen, no matter what. I don't care what anyone says. If they're trying to date a partner, you're going to keep getting rejected till that person says, hey, all right, we'll go on a date. Right. So my determination and my drive and my hunger was there. I did not give up. I did not say no. I didn't say, no, I'm not going to wait. So right away, the way the process works is that they tell you that you have a conviction, you're not going to get your license. Well, you can try. They'll tell you, well, the Department of Real Estate will say, well, you can try, but the thing is that we don't know. You're not going to guarantee. So you're going to have to spend $350 for the classes. You're going to have to spend another couple $100 on the test. And then you're going to have to do your live scan. And then you're going to have to pass your test. And then we'll see, maybe we'll consider to give it to you. And you're like, well, first of all, I don't have the money, right? And you're like, oh, and then I have to, I'm not guaranteed. So you're telling me that I'm going to do all this work and you're not going to guarantee me I'm going to get it. And so you lose hope. You lose hope and you're like, man, shoot, I have to do all this. But that's the beauty of it, because they really want to see how hard you're going to do to get that. And so And that's the, and like, I don't want to go off topic, but that's also too, like what we do we're so stuck in immediate gratification, and we're so stuck, what's in it for me? Well, what's in it for me? Why should I do that? Or why should I do that? Or why should I do this? What's in it for me? Or you keep doing the same thing month after month after month after month, and you're like, dude, I haven't got anything yet. Well, we're so stuck on the outcome versus the process. If I keep doing the same thing over and over, it's gonna get better. And that's the problem with most of us. We're so like stuck to like the outcome. Like, man, well, what about this or that? And so like, I didn't give up. I went, I passed. It took me 3 times to pass my test. I passed my test, and guess what? They denied me. So you can't get your real estate license. You have a conviction, a felony conviction. So what do we have to do? And then basically they said, well, you have to appeal it, and you have to go to the board. And I appealed it. And then from there, I had all these amazing letters from everybody that wrote these character letters for me. And I had a nice big stack, and we gave them to them, and they're like, all right, well, we have all these people that are gonna like vouch for me that I'm, I changed, right? But they also too, Beverly, that they want to see that you took responsibility for what you did, and that you learned from it, and that you changed from it. And they know, they can read through your eye and see like if you really changed. And so I went to an interview with the Department of Real Estate after, and remind me, this is already 6-7 months in. It took me 18 months, like 16 months to get my real estate license. So they denied me again. They said, no, you know what? Maybe come back to us after you get off probation. Well, I'm like, I have 5 years of probation. The federal government took close to 13 years of my life. Right? Close 8.5 years in prison, 5 years of probation. I did every single day of those 5 years of probation. And I'm like, no, like I kept on saying like, no, well, like that's 5 years, I'm gonna, that's a long time. They said like, you're just wasting your time. Like, don't even bother. You're wasting your time. So I appealed that. And then I went to go speak to the commissioner for the Department of Real Estate. And so like, when you get a DUI or something, or you get a charge, like, that you start getting stuff in the mail, right? Like attorneys want to represent you, and they're like, hey, and then, so I started getting all this stuff in the mail from attorneys that were saying, hey, we'll represent you. Well, I called a few of them, and they're like, well, it's $10,000, $15,000, $5,000. I'm like, I don't have that money. And I represented myself, because who knows my story better than myself? So I went in there and spoke for like probably like 5 hours, and I took him from where I was at, how I got involved in criminal activity at the age, and I walked them through my whole life, all the way to that day. And the prosecutor person that was like denying my license, she had nothing to say. She goes, good luck. I wish you the best. She's supposed to go against it. After that, it took me, I think I got something in the mail like 3 months that I got my real estate license, but they gave me a restricted license. So I had a restricted license for 4 years. So what a restricted license is if I get in any trouble, they take it away. Automatically, they take it away. So I had to wait 4 years, which was, I like actually to be unrestricted, because it keeps me on my toes, and it keeps me on point with everything, and it makes me do everything even more better, because I'm walking on thin ice. And when we're on our toes, and we're like walking on thin ice, and you know what, maybe my wife is getting ready to leave me, like I'm the best husband, right? Like I'll do whatever you want, whatever you want me to do, backflips, whatever it is, I'm gonna do that. And like, it just makes you like, and that's the way like I like to look at it, things like, man, like what if I didn't have that? Like, how am I gonna show up today? What about if this wasn't promised? Like, how am I gonna show up? And so so basically like that's the mindset behind it, the mindset of it. And then so so 4 years came. Then I took the restricted off, and then I was able to get a regular real estate license, which like that everybody gets, and that's normally how that worked. Beverly.
Thank you so much, Danny.
Mm.
I really appreciate your time and sharing your testimony. You're inspiring so many people.
No, thank you for the question. Sergio.
Hey, what's up, Danny?
What's up?
Hey, brother. I just kind of wanted to touch a little bit. I know that there was a couple people asking about ADUs. I just kind of wanted to give my 2 cents, having, done a couple of them. I know you did say that, working with a good architect, it's important. And I agree with that just because, I mean,
Sergio, I don't mean to cut you off. Tell them who you are and what you're doing, bro, because then they can understand. I know who you are and I know what you do, but I think the audience needs to hear what you do and what you're about. So like, because maybe they might have questions for you because what you're doing. So if you can just maybe share that before you, explain, because
Yeah. Well, my name is Sergio. We have a company called Cali Homebuyers. We've been fixing and flipping, for the past 5 years. Now we do pretty much anything about fixing and flipping. We do value adds. We add 1,000 square feet to properties. You can kind of consider that new construction. Our bread and butter, kind of what we do is, we tend to stick to the higher end properties. Anything from $1 million plus is what we do now. Like I said, we've done a couple of ADUs before. And I just wanted to give my 2 cents regarding working with architects, just because when you're and also right now we have 6 properties that we're working on. That's kind of what we do on average is what we tend to stay to anywhere from 5 to 6 flips. They try to maintain that. We're looking to scale, to do anywhere from 10 to 20 flips. Our goal is to do about 100 flips a year. And little by little, we're getting closer towards that number. But getting back to like ADUs, it's very important to work with a good architect, just because a lot of architects, they don't know much about the construction side. So a lot of the stuff that they'll write up for you and they'll draw it up, they'll just try to do it so they could get it passed through the city. But if you do work with a really good architect, they will help you out a lot as far as with the material costs. So you could go from having to spend so much money on building to potentially saving a lot of money, because if you work with someone that understands the construction side as an architect, they can possibly remove a couple things that that you possibly don't necessarily need to kind of get the project done. So like it's very important that you work with somebody like that, and also that they have maybe some design aspects to their work, just because seeing the property how it's going to be laid out, it makes it a lot easier to potentially get a good layout and maximize the layout of the depending on what you're doing. If you're going to be doing a new construction ADU, or if you're going to just be adding doing a conversion to the ADU, can help you out and see where you can do the layouts, because we've done some where we didn't maximize and we potentially may have missed maybe adding a bigger room, potentially maybe adding a dishwasher, a washer and dryer. So little things like that, it's important to work with somebody that they know what they're doing, just because like I said, it can cost you from having to spend a lot of money to potentially saving a lot of money. Right now we are working on a project where we could have saved potentially like 70 grand if we would have worked with a good architect. But now that we understand that having a good architect that knows the construction side, they can save you those 70 grand. And who doesn't want to save 70 grand when it comes to something that you're going to be flipping, and that could potentially be turned into profit at the end of the day. And also I know someone was mentioning what they can potentially get as far as their value when they're doing an ADU. Another thing you guys can look at is you can compare them to other properties that are potentially bigger. For example, we've bought properties that are maybe 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and maybe 1,600 square feet. On average, a garage can be anywhere from 200 to potentially 400 square feet on the bigger side if you're just doing a garage conversion. So what we've done, and we've tested before, is you can actually compare. It's considered, you guys, some people consider it a duplex if you're adding the ADU. What we've done is we've compared it to other single families, and we've been able to match our 3 bedroom front house, 2 baths, and then obviously if you add the 1 bed 1 bath to the back house, you're potentially at 1,800 square feet, and you're not at a 4 bedroom 3 bath. So you can actually go ahead and compare it to other bigger single families, and you will be able to get that value the same as that single family. So for example, we bought the property for 800. For example, one property we bought for 800, and we were able to sell it for 1.6. So just adding that ADU gave us that big appreciation, because we forced it, and that difference of potentially making that big margin. And also you can see it as your equity. You gain the 600, 500 equity on that property just by comparing it to a single family. So you can go ahead and actually do that, and to try to see what you can actually get out of that, you doing that ADU, just to kind of figure out what you guys think your ARV could potentially be. Because sometimes I know some people look at it as a duplex, and you don't know, you guys will go ahead and compare it with another duplex. Now, you don't necessarily have to do that. You can also look at single families and still be able to get that ARV that you're looking for. So that's another way you guys can go ahead and value your ADU if you guys finish off doing it. So just to kind of give you guys an idea of what you guys can potentially sell it for, or what potentially your value when you do add it on. So that way you can, if you are looking to potentially keep that property, you can cash out refi, and you have an idea that, oh man, I'll be able to get all that equity out, or potentially leave some of that in there. So just, I wanted to give my 2 cents. I know some people were talking about ADUs, so just from being able to done a couple of those, that's kind of how we've been able to do it. And and it does, you'll be surprised how much value your ADU will give you once you're done with it.
And then also to explain how many deals you got right now that you're currently
We
building.
have six. We have 6 deals, right? We have 6 properties right now. We have 6 active, 5 flips, and then 1 commercial.
And how old are you?
I'm 29.
29. That's cool.
Yeah.
See, 29, and then you have share about your partner too. Huh? Maybe your team.
Yeah. So so it's me, my well, I'll just show my face here. We're actually gonna be doing our run right now, so that's what we're walking towards. Yeah, my partner's right here. What's up, Danny?
Hey, bro. How's it going?
Yeah, his name is Alexander Guzman. Just a little bit of our background. We're born and raised in South Central LA. If you guys know that area, we went to Bethune Middle School. We went to Fremont High. So and one thing to kind of touch up on the emotional part, what Danny was talking about. Real estate it's an emotional roller coaster. It's gonna put you through a lot of stuff. I've seen a lot of people, into the real estate business, and they get a deal that doesn't turn out the way they do, and then just from that deal, they get discouraged, and they don't continue to do it. But just having people like Danny, having other people that that have done it, that have been in the business, it's at the end of the day, collaborating with people will avoid that learning curve, so that way you guys don't make that mistake. Because with that one mistake, it could discourage you from maybe and continue sticking to real estate. And I've seen it before. I've seen people get in, they do a deal, and then they tell me like the emotions that they're going through, and at the end of the day, they stop there, and they don't continue doing it. So real estate is going to put you through a lot. It's an emotional roller coaster. I tell that to a lot of people. You're going to have your highs and then your lows. But if you guys can just bootstrap and just keep grinding it, at the end of the day, it'll turn out good. Real estate isn't really something that is gonna give you the money that you're looking for the first year. From what I've seen, or from my experience, it took about maybe like year 3 for us to start really seeing that money coming in. In the first couple of years, we were losing money. A little bit about how I did it, how I got into the business is I would work a 9 to 5, a night shift, from 5 p.m. to 6 a.m. I'll go to sleep for an hour, and then I'll wake up, straight to, the office, and, I'll just grind it out, trying to find our next deal, just my first deal actually, to see, if we can make actually something happen. And it took maybe about a year for, for us to be able to land that deal. So then from there on out, the rest is history. Even the first deal that we did, we didn't really make, what we were actually looking to make. We only made, 20,000, and having to spend, about 8 months, doing that flip, obviously that can discourage you. You do all that, and especially if you go all in, which I would recommend, but not recommend. I would say have something that you can fall back to, as far as when it involves like your finances. Just because, if you go all in and you're hoping that you're gonna make that big money on that first flip, and you get this, and it doesn't happen, you're gonna have all those expenses kind of choking you up, and and that can, discourage you from continuing. So what I did was, I was working a 9 to 5, a night shift, and then in the mornings I would go ahead and just, try to see what I can do on the real estate side. And the first flip, it didn't happen. 20 grand for 2 people, that really isn't much. And at the end of the day, we have expenses to pay out. So what I did is, I had to re-go back and get another job, so that way I can maintain and pay my bills. So I did the same thing, worked the 9 to 5 at night, and then try to find my second deal. And after that second deal, we made a little bit more profit to where, like, okay, I can actually quit the job more comfortably, and I can live off of what we made. So that's kind of how I got started in the business. And it's like real estate is like he said, like Danny said, like it could change your life. That's kind of what I do now. That's kind of like my 9 to 5 now is real estate. And grateful for the mistakes that I've done. I can actually tell people kind of how to kind of get into real estate, or transition from their 9 to 5 to get into real estate. Have that experience. It's not the easiest thing, but it's not impossible. If someone like me, born and raised in South Central, my parents, they're immigrants. I'm first generation, and a lot of the things that, if you do come from that background, is um, really figuring yourself out as well. Because if you don't really know yourself, at the end of the day, you really can't progress in real estate. Just what I mean by that is, I was like, I didn't know about finances. I don't know about, like, any of this. So it was very discouraging at the beginning. Like, I was like, am I gonna do it? Like Danny, as he said earlier, is, I didn't really believe in myself at all. Because someone like me, like, how am I gonna start making money here in real estate? And like, how am I gonna do it? Like, I don't even have to even start. How am I gonna get my first deal? Like, how am I gonna do it? Those are a lot of questions that I would have. I would ask myself, and a lot of it's mostly negative thoughts that you have. And like, that's something that you're gonna have to learn how to how to, it's something that you're gonna have to overcome. Negative thoughts are always gonna be there, but if you can control yourself to where, like, you can stay positive most of the time, it helps out a lot. Because like I said, this is an emotional roller coaster. It's gonna take you to your highs, and it's gonna take you to your lows. But if you guys can maintain and just stay positive throughout, it will always work out. Like everything, it always works out. But don't expect it to happen in your first 2 years. It does happen to some people. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but I've seen some people do it their first 2 years. But the thing after that is knowing how to maintain it. One thing about us is that we never splurge on anything. We never bought fancy cars. We never bought nice stuff, even clothes, nothing like that. Everything that we made, we put it back into the business. Everything, put it back into the business. I only take maybe about, at the beginning, like 10% or 20% of our profits, and everything will go back into the business. Because if there's no money being pumped back in, then you can't really go ahead and start buying your next deal. And then from there on out, we just we made enough to where, like, okay, we can pull out more money, keep some of it for ourselves, and then there's still money reserves for the company, so that way it can still grow. So that's another thing. Once you do get your profits, don't go ahead and spend it on dumb things like cars, other things that it's not going to be of value. I would say, just pay your bills, leave a very a frugal, sleep very, very, very frugal up until you feel like, okay, like I can potentially, do 3 to 5 deals consistently. So that, like, that point, then you can start seeing, like, okay, I can start making profit, start taking more home, and the business will kind of, continue growing with the money that's still in there. So that's another thing that I've seen before, is that a lot of people don't know how to manage the money. And coming from a background where, like, your parents don't teach you how to manage money, it is hard to try to manage that money. You're going to go ahead and try to spend it. But luckily for me, we always kept our head down, and we always told ourselves that once we do get money, it's going back into the business. We're not gonna go ahead and spend none of it. We're gonna put it back into the business. And ever since then, I mean, we've been doing that. Even now, like, even now, I don't spend crazy, on things. Obviously, we do vacations. That's something that I like to do. I like to spend it on my family, just because growing up, my family and I, we weren't a very close, family. Like, pretty sure a lot of people can agree to that. Coming from from this side of town, that family, at least for my side, we weren't close. So now that I have 2 kids, and I have my wife, that I'm trying to live a different life. I'm trying to spend more time with them. I interact with my kids a lot more than how my parents were interacting with me. And, like, one thing that I do like to splurge on is vacations, with the family, and having get-togethers, stuff like that. I enjoy. Other things like cars and stuff like that. They'll come, they'll come eventually, but right now it's the business that matters, because at the end of the day, that's what will pay you out, and really kind of, sustain you at the end of the day. But just kind of want to come here, give my 2 cents on that, But Danny, he's a really good guy. I've seen where he comes from. I can relate to some of the stuff. I've gone through some of the. I mean, I didn't do time like he did, but I've been there before. I've seen what it is. Having to be in there, and having a kid on the way, thinking like, oh man, am I gonna be here for like X amount of years? By the time I come out, am I gonna be able to see my kid? Is she gonna be 5 years old when I come out, 3 years old? Stuff like that. That once you're in there, you start thinking about like, man, like why the hell did you do that? Stuff, things like that. I could relate to him as far as doing that. But his story, it's amazing, and I appreciate you, bro, for sharing what you got. You kind of inspired me to kind of start kind of talking about our background, because a lot of the stuff that we were keeping in is like, I don't know if I should share it. I don't know if people can, relate to it, but like a story is a story.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. No, thank you. And what I would suggest, bro, drop your Instagram handle on the comments, so you can, they can follow you and they can watch what you're doing, and vice versa. So no, thank you, man. Really appreciate it. Really
Yeah, bro.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you, guys. Yeah. Thank you, bro.
Yeah, you and Sergio, drop it. Yeah, so like also too, there's like a few more questions I want to get to, but everybody drop their Instagram, connect with people, see what they're up to, like collaborate. Like that's another thing too. Like you think, like what I'm learning too is like I'm just one person, like I'm just here to share and help, and at the same time, like it's us to continue this, right? Like for you guys to, like, I'm the light for you, but also for you to be the light for everybody else, and create your own, your own group of people that you would help and you inspire. But like
Are you guys good? You guys ready?
the power is between everybody here. So I highly, highly, highly recommend collab, get to know each other, connect, and see if you vibe out with a person. And you never know, like a lot of like the beauty of it, like a lot of stuff and a lot of people and friends that came through Instagram. And that's like, it's social media. So you have to be social and connect with people. But just to go back, I know it's already going on like 2 hours, but I'm gonna ask you some questions. So basically my buddy Raymond, he's been knowing me since, Jesus, 5th grade. I don't know, 6th grade. So I appreciate you, man, jumping on the call. You've been knowing me my whole life, and love him. And so thank you. So his question is it a good investment to buy empty land in other states? So the only thing with that, bro, is that most of the time anywhere you go, if you're gonna buy land, most of the time is that the bank wants 50% down. So they want like 50% down, and then like a lot of the times what I see that the land never gets built. So people own these pieces of land that they bought for 50,000, 60,000, 100,000, whatever it is, 20,000, and they never ever do anything with them. So like, or they don't do enough homework in escrow to learn that, like, is this land even usable? Is there a sewer line? Like, I mean, is it connected to like a street? Like sometimes you have to build streets for these people that have these lots. And I know a lot of people that have all these empty lots and they can't even sell them. And then they're paying taxes on them every year. So I would say no, but I mean, you also, I really don't buy vacant land. We usually buy houses that, we can do stuff on them and tear them down and rebuild them. So, but did that answer your question, Raymond? Ray? So another question is, what's the easiest to make money and not be a realtor? The fastest way is to honestly like wholesale a deal. So if you're able to find a deal like and wholesale it to a buyer, that's gonna probably be like the quickest and fastest way, is to find something. And what a wholesaling is you're finding this piece of paper. You found a deal, you have this piece of paper with this contract, and you have it for an X amount of dollars, let's just say 500,000, and it's worth $550. So you can sell this piece of paper to an investor, you know, like myself or Sergio or anyone else here that's, you know, investing, Omar, you know, I mean, there's so many different people that are investors investing that you can sell this piece of paper to them for an extra $20,000, $30,000. And that's like the quickest and fastest way is to wholesale. I don't know who that was, but in your field, giving leads to really, I don't know what that is. There's another question that came in. Can you follow and see the work that you're doing? Thanks for sure. Let's see real quick. Okay, so how are you guys finding off market fixtures, ugly houses, deals? So that's a really good question. So basically it's a really good question. So that goes to the wholesaling question. So the way that we find business has you know, has been Instagram, social media, talking to other real estate agents, you know, being in the community of this, you know, being in groups, you know, Facebook groups, you know, different groups that people are wholesaling doing that. That's one way. But the way that I personally built my business was through prospecting. So that was either, you know, cold calling or door knocking is how I built my business. And the way that you find these fixtures and ugly homes, Jesse, are you still on?
Yeah, I'm still on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just say you're looking for a fixture, you're looking for an ugly house, right? You're like, I want to find some of these deals off market, right?
Right.
So you're going to find a title officer in your market. So what market are you in right now?
I'm in the Inland Empire.
Okay, so you would reach out to somebody that works in that market that has that territory and tell them, hey, look, I'm looking to do some flips. I want to do some, you know, I want to look for some flips to, you know, remodel and resell. You know, what are your investors looking for? What are your investors that you're working with right now looking for? And then they're going to say, well, they're looking for, you know, 1, 2, 3. And then you're going to say, well, how many deals are these people doing? Right. And then I would honestly ask if you can connect with them to learn from them. You know, that would be one way. Can you connect me with your investor or whatever it is? But another way is that like you want to be able to get houses that they own for a really long time. So let's just say, for example, I'm looking for a 2-bedroom, 1 bath, and I'm a flipper that is going to add a bedroom, right? So I'm going to look for every 2-bedroom house. What city you live in?
I'm in Ontario.
So I'm going to look for every 2-bedroom, 1 bath in Ontario that sits on a 5,000 square foot lot, right? Because I know that if I add a bedroom or two and it's a 5,000 plus lot, I'm going to sell it for 800,000, hypothetically, right? So then I'm going to say, well, I want to make sure that they lived in the house more than 10 years. And then they're going to say, we have, you know, 5,000 homes. I'm going to say, well, that's too big for me because I'm not going to call 5,000 people. I'm going to just do 20 years. So that 20 years, now you're down to, you know, 1,000 homes. Right. And you're like, okay, 1,000 homes is good. And then you just start breaking those 1,000 homes to basically like, well, let's look for ones that haven't refinanced, that have a certain amount of equity. Because Jesse, when I'm on the phone talking to people, I want to make sure that I'm going to shoot a rocket ship through your window. Like, I don't want to waste any time talking to anyone that's not ready to make a move, or at least statistically that are ready to do something. So every 5 to 7 years, statistically, somebody's going to move. So, you know, if you found that house, that flip on that street that you've seen, you know, they just bought it, they just flipped it, look for the neighbor because that neighbor's ready to go. Guaranteed.
Gotcha.
So you always want to look at this. Are you a real estate agent?
Yes.
Okay. So look at the off market, on market sales that in that area that you're working, and you're going to see, okay, that house, they just bought that house. They just bought this house. I'm going to go drive by, look at the area. I see that one's a flip. They're flipping it. Let me go look around and look for the neighbor. You know, that's another way. So once you get that data of like 500 homes of like really, really, really good data, of people that like lived in the house for a really long time, then you're gonna skip trace it. You're gonna skip trace it, and then you're gonna call it, you're gonna text it, you're gonna mail it, you're gonna do Dropbox slide dial, and you're going to hit them in so many different ways. And then, and then eventually you'll be able to get them. And so we do that times like 50 in different pockets of LA. And that's the way that that's how we have became the most like successful and the most, the better deals, because we found stuff off market, because there's no one better to work with than myself. Very easy to work with myself versus I have a person in the middle that is sort of maybe doesn't know how to deliver the information. Maybe they don't know how to communicate. Maybe they don't know how to like sort of be direct with the client. You have to match the person that you're working with. And sometimes a lot of people don't have that skill. And so sometimes they kind of like don't know how to get the sales sometimes. And so like the best opportunities came from us, for most of them, at least like 70% of the time. So that's the way we find them. We find off market deals, and we'll probably do about 40 of them this year, roughly. A mixture of everything, mixture of development, some flips, or, regular family members that are looking to buy their first house, or, FHA buyers. Because like another thing too, is that I still have my retail brokerage, my retail business. And we still work with buyers and sellers, because you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. But with development or an investment, you need another stream of income, like they mentioned. And that's something that, you always want to have in mind. And I have grown. I have a book of business. I've sold over 220 homes. So there's a lot of past clients, a lot of family members, a lot of friends. We get a lot of referrals. So I still have that business, and we operate it. And we have team members that help with that business, help my buyers, help my buyers that we get them qualified. We help them out, because that's a business on its own. And then we have the development business, so there's two different types of business. So you never want to let go, because you start letting the gas off of your retail business, you're going to go broke. You're going to go dry.
Thank you.
What? It's 7 o'clock. I'm going to respect everyone's time. Anyone have any other questions? Let me get at least another question or two before we get going. That question that you've been holding back all day.
Hey, Danny.
Anybody? Yes.
What skip tracing apps or company do you use, number one? And then when you text them, do you immediately hit them up, I want to buy your house, or what do you text them with?
So I personally have not done texting in a while. But what I have, used in the past was like the most popular texting platform. But right now, a lot of people are using, is Alan on the line? I'll tell you right now. And we're going to start using it soon. He's gonna text it to me right now, but I'm gonna give everybody the email of my of the person that I use to skip trace, and you email them, and then you give them the information, and they'll skip trace it for you. And it's like it's like affordable. It's like, I don't know, a couple cents a lead, but that's what you want to make sure you have a good skip tracing company that's gonna give you like 80% plus of accurate numbers. And then what my buddy uses, and he gets a lot more deals, is actually launch control. And then Crystal's on the line. He has this other platform for HomeBot that we're supposed to start soon. So hopefully after this call we get on it. But he has another platform. So launch control is one of them for skip tracing. And then Crystal's that's on here as well. His buddy has another texting platform that's sort of like a bot, and they're both really good. Launch control, my buddy gets a bunch of deals from them, a lot of people that I know. And then Crystal's system is like looks really legit, where you can get the texting. And then what was it? You had another question on that, or what was the question?
No, I was talking about when you text the people, do you straight hit them up, be like, hey, I want to buy your house, I'm interested, I live in the neighborhood? I'm in the community. I'll walk by. I'm interested in buying it. I mean, what do you text them?
Yeah. So it would be direct, like, hey, have you thought about selling your home? Is normally, but normally, so like, that's normally how a text would be, and then you just hit them with a few questions, like how, like once you hit them with a hook, and then after the hook, you kind of like they respond, and then you can go in there and manually respond, and then basically that's the way. But on the calls, like since I have more experience on the calls, it's basically like very direct. Which one? Who's on the phone, right? Who's talking?
It's me, Omar.
Omar. Okay, sorry, Omar. So Omar, I'll say, hey, hey, hi, Omar. Like, let's just role play. Hi, Omar. How are you?
I'm blessed. How about you?
Let's just do this. Let's just do this. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Omar. How are you today? This is Danny Navarro.
I'm blessed, Danny. How about you?
Well, wonderful. I'm doing amazing. Thank you for asking. Like I said, my name's Danny Navarro. I was giving you just a really quick call. I have a client that is very interested in your home. Have you had have you decided, have you had any thoughts about selling?
I have not.
Okay. Well, how long have you lived in the neighborhood?
22 years.
22 years. Oh my God. Do you really still like this neighborhood?
It's awesome. I love the school district, love the neighbors. It's pretty good.
So I just go into there and I just ask more questions.
Gotcha.
I just ask more, but it's very direct. Like, have you had any interest in selling your home?
Gotcha. Cool deal.
And then the same thing, the text the same way. Cool. Anyone else before we get going? Cool. Well, cool, man. Well, thanks everybody. I really appreciate everybody's time and what I'm really just trying to create is a community of people to, we're all collaborate and all work together and help each other, inspire each other to, we're all on the same path. We're all trying to build real estate and trying to do things together. And there's no better way but to collab and help each other out, work with each other and do deals with each other, sell deals to each other. And like I said, real estate, definitely changed my life and it's like the minimum, like the least that I can do to help out as well. So, thank you everybody. I'll send the recording out as well. We'll email it out like by tomorrow. So, but I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Danny.
Mm.